I'd now like to introduce Michael O'Donoghue, who's going to be talking about helping people rent with pets. It's a very topical issue, and I know I was one of those people who had to, well, I already sat down, but I had to sit down when they said, you know, are you one of those people that has more animals than you should have when you've been renting? Always, yes, unfortunately. That's why I had to buy a house. Michael has been a long-term campaigner for renting with pets, and he's a veterinarian and director of People and Pets, an organisation to advocate on behalf of pet owners. He's also got a real interest in grief and companion animal loss as well. He's been the Queensland AVA president, that's the Australian Veterinary Association, and on the executive of the Australian Small Animal Veterinarians. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a great privilege to be amongst you all. It's very inspirational to see what great work you do, helping make this place a better world for people and pets. My topic is something I've been a keen advocate of. I think it's certainly a great contributor to keeping animals out of shelters. This information was basically sourced from a document put together through the ASAVA. They released a brochure in 2014. Unfortunately, this brochure is probably out of date now. It's no longer available. Hopefully, this information will be available up on the AVA website soon, but not at the moment. But all the information and more from this presentation is available on your USB stick. This presentation, there's 4 parts to it. First part is for helping tenants get into the property. The second is about encouraging landlords to let people have tenants with pets. The third part is overcoming myths about pet ownership in rentals. And finally, an up-to-date status on the state-by-state guide to renting with pets. Obviously the first part is looking for pet-friendly accommodation, and obviously the first part is get online. And a lot of new real estate agents have an option. You can choose and look for a ticker box and choose pet-friendly accommodation. I think that's also a key point, is a target audience is definitely real estate agents with this information to let them know how good pet owners are in renting pets. Second great option is using your social media. It's a great use of your social media account rather than just telling everyone about the latest meal you've had or your new dress or costume. Social media is a great way of getting you pet-friendly accommodation. So get your friends to share it or share your friend's need, and it's a great way to find pet-friendly accommodation. And always one often overlooked way in this modern life is word on the street. Ask your neighbours, ask your shopkeeper. They might know friends, and their friends might have just that perfect little property for you and your pet. So don't ever neglect word on your street. Ask your neighbours. Step 2 is applying for pet-friendly accommodation. One of the most important things is be confident, because responsible pet owners make excellent tenants. We know not only it contributes to your own well-being, but it also proven to contribute to the whole street's well-being. People with pets make better neighbours. So go in there with confidence and be prepared to put your best foot forward. Pets in strata. The main thing here is that it's a two-step process, that not only you have to convince the landlord, but you also have to convince the strata owners. So be prepared to apply twice to convince the landlord and convince the strata association. But don't be put off by this. Put your best foot forward. There's also great detailed information on a website listing here, stratacommunity.org.au for Strata Living with Pets is a great resource for getting into Strava with your pets. Step 3 is now you've actually got yourself a pet-friendly rental. You want to keep it. You want to make sure that you want to make sure that you can renew your lease when 6 months is up or a year's up. They'll be happy to give you your lease. So house pride is very important. It's inevitable if you have pets, they'll drop fur, they'll have little accidents, to get right on top of it straight away. There's lots of great products out there to clean up after your pets, and even the most basic things are very good at cleaning up after your pets. Warm water, baking soda and vinegar are excellent at cleaning up after your pet. Another really important point in being a successful renter with pets is to get to know your next door neighbour. Get them to meet your pet, get them to know your pet, and swap phone numbers. Recently, just last week, I had done this for my neighbour, and their separation anxiety dog started barking during the night, and kept on going. I said, I looked over the fence, but that didn't seem to help the dog at all. So I texted my neighbour Amy, said, Amy, your dog's barking. She said, oh, look, we're away, but I was supposed to have a pet sitter there. And so she texts the pet sitter and goes, oh, I've gone home a day early. I just thought everything would be all right. So she was a bit upset about this, and lots of texting and phone calls later, the pet sitter comes back to the house and peace descended on our neighbourhood again. So great idea to swap phone numbers with your next door neighbours and let them know about your pets. Okay, the next section is for landlords. It's really important that we have information to convince landlords that letting owners rent with pets is a great idea. So here are 10 really good reasons to consider renting to a pet owner. So the first one, pet owners are generally willing to pay more rent. Australian research reveals that many dogs and cat owners would be prepared to pay more for a pet-friendly rental. In fact, they may be able to receive from 7 to 14% more rent. Pet-friendly properties rent faster. 25% of all rental applicants were specifically seeking out pet-friendly housing. Pet-friendly housing received twice as many applicants as pet-friendly residences other than for other housing. And also, pet-friendly residences were leased out an average of 19 days compared to the non-pet owning ones at 29 days. Responsible pet owners make excellent tenants. Research shows that responsible pet owner can make an excellent long-term tenant that abides by housing rules. They know it can be difficult to find pet-friendly housing and want to avoid having to search for again. So they make excellent tenants. Tenants with pets want to hold leases longer, so that's good if you're a landowner. They're likely to stay longer. They know it can be hard to find pet-friendly accommodation. They're less likely to want to move with a pet. Reduce your advertising spending. With pet-friendly properties leasing more quickly, pet-owning tenants stay longer, and it stands to reason you will spend less on advertising to find tenants for your rental property. No more problems with hidden pets. With the vast majority of rental properties prohibiting keeping a dog, it's not surprising to find that pet owners simply don't often reveal their pet-owning status. Australian research indicates that for 11% of pet-owning tenants, mainly cat owners, their landlords or body corporate are unaware they keep pets. So yeah, it's just important, if you let them keep pets, you're more likely to be aware of it. Most Australians feel their pet is part of the family and care for it as much. More than 83% of Australians have had a pet sometime in their lives, and people who don't, 53% would like to own one in the future. 91% of pet owners report feeling very close to their pet, reinforcing the fact that pets are integral members of the family unit. People tend to look after their pets as they look after other members of their family. They look after their health, hygiene, exercise and entertainment. They keep them clean and look after them. No one would ever say you can't keep children with you, but pets are family and they should be treated as such. Reduce animal euthanasia. This is particularly important to this conference. Animal welfare agencies indicate that as much as 30% of dogs and cats are surrendered by owners who are unable to locate adequate accommodation. So the ratio of pet-friendly properties is at odds with the number of people looking for rentals. So sadly, this has resulted in a high number of surrenders. So landlords need to be aware of this, that not keeping, allowing pets is responsible for euthanasia. Considering pets will not lock you into a particular pet outcome. So just not allowing, saying you can have pets doesn't mean you're allowing 10 dogs into a situation. Just say pets considered is important. So having pet application agreement forms is a great way to clarify exactly what you're getting and what the owners and the tenants are offering and what you as a landlord are willing to permit. So these should be available on our websites as well. So a few myths to overcome. That pets cause more damage to properties. This is not true, and it's actually shown that children are more likely to cause damage to properties than pets do. Second pet is double trouble. The fact is that sometimes a second pet makes it a better situation. So it's not true that a second pet is double trouble. The other myth is that stratas is not suitable for pets, but a lot of pets do adapt extremely well to high-rise and small spaces. It's just about adapting the living quarters. Last part of my talk is just a state-by-state guide to renting with pets across Australia. So in New South Wales, we've had some fantastic updates allowing changes to the bylaws. Also in Victoria. Victoria's had some fantastic developments with the Residential Tenant Amendment Bill for 2018, which allowed pets to be kept in properties. And the only way to object to this was for the landlord to put an application into VCAT. So it's still not a perfect situation, but certainly things have much improved in Victoria. Oh, in Queensland, here we are on the Gold Coast. Oh, jumped. So the state government is undergoing reforms. We haven't heard where they're at. We put in major submissions last year, but they're looking at easing rental conditions in Queensland. In South Australia, landlords have to grant permission for pets to be kept by tenants, but an increasing number are now willing to accept animals, and there's no provision for pet bonds. But most landlords will ask for agreement to be signed enforcing certain such rules. In ACT, new laws are being introduced this year, and the ACT government to restrict the rights of landlords to ban pets, unless they can demonstrate reasonable grounds. In Western Australia is a unique state in that pet bonds are a usual part of the residential tenancy agreements where pets are allowed. The law states that no more than $260 can be charged to meet the cost of the fumigation at the end of the tenancy. The presence of a pet must be stated in the lease and permission granted by the landlord. In the Northern Territory, it's up to the landlord whether pets are allowed in rented premises or not, but tenants can negotiate with their landlords when there's no pet clause agreement, or they can apply to NTCAT to remove or change the clause of grounds being unconscionable. And in Tasmania, a tenant can only have a pet at the property if it's been agreed to in the lease, and the renter has to repair any damage inflicted by the pet at the end of the tenancy. Fumigation is often included as a term, with pet bonds not being allowed in Tasmania. So there you have it. As a conclusion, we're certainly making great progress over the last few years, but much work must be done. I think the key point is encouraging responsible pet ownership, open communication. So this information will be available on my website, and also Professor Jackie Rand has a great resource on her Pet Welfare Foundation page. So hopefully, it will make a great difference in helping more people rent with pets. Thank you very much.